Now you're frozen.
I'm
I'm
just
pretty
staying
sure that's
still.
me. I'm gonna. Hopefully you can see this. If you can hear me, go out and come back in. That means just close out, go back to the link, and come back in because you're frozen now.
Uh-oh. Okay, I'll come back in.
All right. No, good. She heard me. Very good. Very, very good. She heard me. All right. So we're going to have a great show. Let's see what we got going here. We got 4 people in the house so far. Here she comes. 8 people. Okay, so you're good. Yeah, you were good. If that happened, you could hear me. Could you hear me at the
I could
time?
hear you and see you, and I looked like I was moving.
Well,
I
it's
wasn't frozen on my screen.
yeah. I think it was. I think you were. But if anything happens, you just go out and come back in. But I'll tell you, or I'll put it on the screen. We'll make it. Let's see. I'm going to roll the show out in just a second. In just a second. Let me say hello to Yusef Khan. How you doing? Jeff Cloud. He says Raquel rocks. Mary Cooper. Stacy Lewis. Emily Harrison. How you doing? Akashic Academy. Maheen Ahmed. John Mackey. John, I'm over in Andover, New Jersey. We have an event. We're going to do a ceremony on 9/9 at 5 p.m. over here in Andover, if you can make it. Victor Casashiko. It's good to see you, Emily. I know we need to connect. We definitely need to connect. Kathy Waldowski, Lynn Pellerine, how you doing? Linda Luntergan, how you doing? Carolyn Shipley, Eric Peterson, Mel Tron. All right, we got 19 people in the house. This is going to be. I can feel the energy. This is going to be a good show. So let me roll this out, and let me just give a little background. There's some new faces here, so let me introduce myself. My name's Todd Medina. This is the Soulogy Network. This is our primary broadcasting. This is primary broadcasting show. This is our 568th show on this particular format, and it's called Soul Speaks 5D. It's a conversation with, and today it's Three Feathers, also known as Raquel Trevino. She is an energy worker, spiritual healer, speaker, awakening shaman, twin flame, and star seed. She clears land, spaces, people of negative energy, lifts spirits, leaves a trail of light. Innate ability to show through her physical form and movements. The deity ascended master or consciousness that is present, such as butterfly consciousness. We got to come back because I want to talk about that. And or the consciousness of water, for example. She's got a lot of stuff in here. We'll talk about that. Let me cover this part too, though. Part of the collective Rainbow Bridge, her unique heritage, called Big Medicine by an indigenous leader, gives her a unique perspective and narrative, helping to bridge the real world and the spirit world. A way shower for the masses. Okay, so welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I'm going to pop out and pop back in. All right. And you get the energy going. You equalize the energy. Thank you for coming. Thank you for honoring us with your space, with your presence, and sharing space. Right.
Can you hear the drum?
Oh, yeah. We can hear it. Beautiful.
I could ask everybody present to just drop into, let's ground for a minute. I'm going to call in Art Running Bear, my teacher that showed me how to ground anywhere, anytime, even from an airplane. Your feet don't have to be on the mother.
What's his name?
Art Running Bear. It's a indigenous medicine man from White River Mountain Apache. And he's got short hair and a big belly with a Hawaiian shirt, and he actually looks Hawaiian, but his name is Art Running Bear, and he reminded me a lot of my father. But I went to a meditation class with him, and he taught us how to meditate. He's been traveling all over the world as a Vietnam veteran, and 20 or 30 years studying all different kinds of levels of consciousness. And of course, he was raised and taught and brought up in the traditional way, so he's got some skills, yeah? And so he taught us basically a really, really condensed, easy, wonderful way to ground. And I would love to share that with you because that seems to be one of the most important things. As Christoph was saying last night, everybody's up in the air, so let's get you down on the ground. Yeah? Sound good? So all you need to do is sit straight or stand straight. And we're going to...
We're losing you.
You're losing me.
I think. Let's see here. We got a little delay here. Might be her signal on her end. Let me double check.
Am I frozen? Can you hear me?
Brought up in the traditional way, so he's
Okay, you're frozen again.
All right, I'll go out and come back.
It's okay. We're going to get through this. We always do. Here, she's going to come back. Oh, she was good. All right. Well, there's a delay though. I'm looking at footage in the future. All right, here we go.
All right, are we back?
Yeah, we're back. You're good. You're good.
All right. Yeah. So I was explaining that Art Running Bear taught me a meditation technique, and I would love to share that with you.
Yes, let's do that.
Christoph was saying it's very important for us to come out of the ethers and get a little more grounded into the earth so that we can anchor those energies into the mother, which has been my practice for many years.
Beautiful.
So all we're going to do is sit up straight and close your eyes and imagine an energy going around your waist, swirling around your waist. And whatever's real to you, whether it's a color or water, just imagine that energy, and you're going to sink that down into the ground. It's covering your whole body like a pillar, just going down into the ground, 2 feet below you, into the Earth Star Chakra, and then all the way down into the center of the earth. And now from here, you can imagine that your spine is a direct, straight steel rod, straight up through spirit. You can just open the crown directly to the cosmos and know that you have a direct connection with Source. Say, I wish to connect to my higher self. Please connect. And if those of you that are sensitive, which many of you are, you might be able to feel a little bit of an expansion, a little tingling, a little more soul, so to speak. So this grounding technique, imagining an energy, a color, water, again, whatever, you can do that anywhere. You can do it while you're driving. You can do it while you're, like I said, in a plane, in school, in church, getting pulled over. Ground yourself.
Getting pulled over.
Getting pulled over. Ground yourself. And you can also ground other people in that way too.
Very good.
Which comes in handy sometimes. So ground, connect, and then you've got your straight connection to Source.
Beautiful.
So let's set the intention, all of us, if we can, for an undisturbed broadcast. If we can set a container to keep out any discordant energies. We can clear the field and ask for our guides to help hold that space for us. Okay, let's get rolling.
Right on. Right on. So you've got quite a story. You've got quite a story. I used to ask people, I don't do it so much anymore, but were you always this way, or when did you wake up?
I was not always this way. In fact, I'm very colorful now, and people always talk to me about my color. But when I was going through my divorce, I actually was always in camouflage. And I had my 110, 11-pound Alaskan Malamute, black and white. And when we would go for a walk, if we were going out on the streets, I would wear gray and black camouflage. And if we would go in the forest, I would wear green and brown camouflage. And I always started wearing a hat a lot, and like a cap. And I realized I always had to have my head covered. I just could not leave the house without having my head covered. And then discovered bandanas, and they're much better. More colorful. So when I was going through my dark night of the soul, I would say I wouldn't make eye contact with anyone, hardly talk to anyone, and was going through some things. Yeah, but I woke up in 2010, and for me, I was actually standing in front of the microwave. We had a microwave back then. So I'm standing in front of the microwave in the kitchen, and I just had this vision that Spirit showed me, which was pure light, just like the sun, pure light. And then he showed me Vitruvian man, or how man, he said, man is made in my image. And this man was a star in light, you know. Yeah. And it was huge. It was profound. I fell to my knees. I was crying. I was thanking, thank you for showing me. Thank you for showing me. And that's so to me, like every major religion agrees that we all have a light inside of us. And when somebody passes, they say the light went out of their eyes and they shine really bright, and that little light inside. And so that's pretty much what that is, that little light inside. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. That was my waking up moment. And then not long after that, I had a Kundalini awakening, which I didn't know what that was, and I didn't have any kind of rude awakening or psychotic spells or anything like that. I had been practicing yoga since 2009. Then I woke up in 2010, so it was very close together, of course related. And so yoga led to that, and then I woke up, then I got divorced, and I lost all my medical insurance, and all I had was yoga was my medicine. So let me say that by the time I was 35, I had 8 diagnoses. I actually counted, I think, like 10, littler things, and 11 medications, some for life.
Wow.
And started yoga 3 times a week at the YMCA, no less, and happened to be blessed with a teacher there who had training since in India since she was young, and amazing yogini. And that led me to Ayurveda. Well, let me back up. So within 6 months of starting yoga, the need for the medications fell away, and the symptoms fell away, the need for the medications fell away, and 50 pounds fell away.
Wow.
And then I learned about Ayurveda, which is the sister science of yoga, the medical science.
Right.
And Ayurveda literally means life knowledge. It's things that humanity has always known. And the East has been sharing it now with the West. I think it got to the United States in the 50s. Mm-hmm. And Dr. Vasant Lad was a pioneer and forerunner, and he opened up the Ayurvedic Institute in not Santa Fe. What's the other town by Santa Fe? New Mexico?
Albuquerque?
Albuquerque, New Mexico. And in 1972, I believe. And actually, he didn't open up the school. He was traveling, talking, and teaching. They just made they made a movie about this man. It's called The Doctor from India. Uh-huh. And I learned a lot about him, but he's just an amazing soul, an amazing saint. And he had a hard life like we did, like we all have.
Yeah.
And he was traveling and teaching, and the people in Albuquerque loved him so much, they built him a school. They said, we want to build you a school, and we want you to teach us. Wow. And it's been going since the 70s. Exactly. And I've been there and I didn't know that. It's just incredible. So when I learned about Ayurveda, even the need for the over-the-counter remedies fell away. Like no more antacids, no more Beano, no more lotion, people. I had dry skin my whole life. No more lotion ever. So no more chemicals needed. So as the body was healing and getting rid of all of these toxins and chemicals, you know, the DNA started working a little better. And so things would, I should say, abilities started to increase. And now I want to tell you a story. When I was 9 years old, my parents took me to the eye doctor because I could see things that they couldn't see. And we thought something was wrong with my eyes. And so we went to the eye doctor, and you know, when you're a kid, your parents hold the doctor up here. You hold your parents up here, and they're like, wow, right? And the doctor said, oh, it's just a trick of the eyes. She'll grow out of it. And so, of course, as a kid, you're like, oh, I'm just a silly kid. I'm being tricked. It's not real. And so I would literally blink it away until they go away. And even now, I find myself blinking something away, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. And then I bring that vision back. Do you know what I mean? I turn kind of...
Yeah.
Yeah. So slowly, as my body was healing, getting healthier, functioning more properly, the ability started to come back, where I was starting to see energy, and I've always been able to hear frequency.
Yeah.
Like I would always, ever since I was a kid, if I would go into somebody's house and they had a TV on anywhere in the house, even if it was on mute, I would know there was a TV on.
Yeah.
You know, and somebody would be getting ready to leave the house, and I'm like, wait, you have to turn the TV off. They're like, I did. And I'm like, no, there's a TV on somewhere. And so the frequencies change, and that's what we're hearing. And I learned you're hearing different dimensions. You're hearing downloads. You're hearing, you know, of course, the allopathy says it's tinnitus, ringing in the ears.
Right.
Because they've got to label it something. But being able to hear frequency, you can hear the changes and the subtle differences. And I am clairaudient, right? So it's not that I hear a voice, like literally somebody talking, but I will hear or like see or know a word. It started with just a word.
Right.
Which was, I would wake up at 3:30 in the morning, and my word at that time was eat. In capital letters. Spirit always talks to me in caps. Eat. Because I was getting too thin. I wasn't eating, right? So another time, months later, the word was dance. And I'm like, okay.
So would you dance right at 3 in the morning, or wait till you got up?
Well, no, it wasn't right then. That's what you need to do in order to heal, in order to progress. And that's because whenever I go into meditation, I directly connect with spirit, and I say, tell me what it is I need to know.
Yeah.
And so then you're open to whatever it is you need to know.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So I was going through this divorce. Yoga became my medicine, because as I lost my anti-anxiety, antidepressants, insomnia, all of these pills, yoga kept me balanced and grounded. And that literally was my medicine. And so I would never skip a class, because
Yeah. Can't hear you. It's okay. If you can hear me, go out and come back in. I don't think she can hear me.
around.
There she is.
And now I'm living in a different school district, right? So driving was an issue for me. Driving actually hurts for me. My hip, the way I hold my leg up, I'm short, can't reach the pedals. I learned how to drive funny. And so I've had this issue. so summertime rolled around, and he knew I wasn't going to take him over to his friend's house back in Dad's neighborhood every day. And Dad had a TV and junk food, and he's like, I want to live with Dad now. And I'm like, ah. So this is how it works, because while I should say, when I started going through the divorce, I would every day walk my dog at the beach. I'd take the kids to school and walk Kaya on the beach down in Des Moines, Saltwater State Park. And I would always be, who am I? Who am I? 'Cause I was trying to figure out what to do, right? Because I'm in camouflage. I'm getting divorced. I'm losing my house, losing my everything. Yeah. Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? And I would find 3 feathers. Almost every day, almost every walk, I would find 3 feathers. And one day, I didn't take the dog. I went on a different route because she couldn't go up the steep slopes. And I went on this different route, and I was like in a walking meditation. And I find these 3 big feathers. They were crow. For up here, that's a lot of over here. 3 big feathers and a staff, a piece of leather, and a synthetic hair braid. I kid you not. It must have been October or November, right after Halloween or something. And so before I knew it, I had like strung it all together with the feathers up, and I reach over and there's some white berries, and I grab these berries and I put it in there, and it like vibrates, and it was like, you are 3 feathers.
Right.
And I was like, wow. And so I go home and I look up 3 feathers. Is this an ascended master? Who's 3 feathers? And I couldn't find anything. And so some time went by, and I had been guided to get a drum. And so I got this little tiny drum, and I hung it from my rearview mirror just to remind me, because coming by one of these is A, not cheap, B, you want something authentic and made in a good way. And where do you go? Where do you get them? Where do you find them? So I had this little drum, but I saw this meetup group, and the event was sacred drumming. And it was like all of the numbers pointed to, this. I see a lot of numbers. Like right now it's 55. Earlier it was 33. Then it was 22. And so I was guided to go to this sacred drumming meetup group. And I did, and it was inside of a recovery center. And they had AA stuff over here, and they had Hindu and yoga stuff over here, and Buddhist stuff, and this whole wall was Native American crafts and drums and feathers and things. And in the middle was this great big grandmother drum. Can you see? This great big grandmother drum. And I walk in, and I meet this man. He's a sanctioned guide of it was the Pacific Northwest Medicine Bear Circle, Singing Medicine Circle, something like this. This is a long word. And I met him, and I said, hi, my spirit name is 3 Feathers. My real name's Raquel. And he just like, And I'm like, what? What does it mean? Do you know what it means? And he's like, it's just that I know a 2 feathers, and now I know a 3 feathers. And I'm like, okay, and then go around meeting people, and I meet the other sanctioned guide. And I said, hi, my spirit name is 3 Feathers. My given name is Raquel. And she was like, And I'm like, what? He did the same thing. What? And she goes, just that we know a 2 feathers, and now we know a 3 feathers. And I'm like, okay. And so we do this drumming thing. There's 18 of us there, and they were just shocked at who showed up and how many people showed up at this thing. It was just a chance for them to try this way. And so we had to take turns drumming and everything. And then they were going to repeat in 2 weeks. So 2 weeks later, come back, because it was just so moving, learning how to hit that drum, because we all hitting with it. We all have a beater. We're hitting at the same time. So we're learning how. We're learning when. We're learning to listen, right, and how to sing. And come back 2 weeks later, and before we get started, it's all sacred. The drum is covered with this beautiful cloth with a 4-direction medicine wheel. and tobacco and everything. And so we start. And he says, I told my friend I met you, and they made this. And he hands me this necklace. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm not wearing it. He hands me this necklace with a... Really?
That's
I'm
all
like
right.
always wearing it. Where is it? It has 3 feathers on it. And it has a
Oh, wow.
brass one, or a bronze one, a gold one, and a silver one.
Very cool.
And I was like, well, okay, thanks. And not really even understanding the depth of Native American gifting. If you
Right.
look that up, it's just like, whoa, right? And I didn't even get it yet because I wasn't raised that way.
Right.
And we'll talk about how I was raised in a minute. So I've got this thing and I'm like, great, right? And so still months later, I don't know what this 3 feathers mean, but clearly it's something significant. And some time later, I see a video on YouTube, and it is Alex Whiteplume of the Lakota, and he's speaking to the UN, and he talks about 3 feathers. He says, when you're given 3 feathers, you have the right to talk treaty outside of the tribe and share stories and medicine. And I was by this time like, jaw on the floor, right? Oh my God, that's huge. And the reason it resonated huge with me is because when I was a little girl, I had a coaster on my nightstand, and it was like a kid colored animated thing, and it had a rainbow and a cloud, and it said God's promises are forever, with whatever Bible quote that was. And when I heard that about the 3 feathers, I immediately thought of the rainbow, and I really don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
And I immediately thought of the Hopi, because something had always been drawing me to the Hopi, especially last couple of years. Things would come into my awareness to draw me to the Hopi. Like, I bought all these curtains from Goodwill to make this beautiful sacred outdoor space, and open up one of the curtains, which was the shower curtain, and it's got the Cocopelli singer on it. Another one is my aunt from Spain, loves fine statuary, porcelain things. Lladro, if you know what a lladro statue is. Beautiful, fine features. She sends me a doll that she picked up in a thrift store, and it's about this tall, and it's very crude. It's wood, and it's leather, and not leather, it's wood, carved out of wood. It's got some feathers here and there, and some patterns, and this really weird looking face, and I'm like, just so unlike what she would send me, right? And I'm like, what is this? And I turn it over. It's got a little tag on it that says Badger. And it explains Badger medicine. And let me go back to Art Running Bear. When I met him in this workshop, meditation workshop, during one of the breaks, I asked him, I said, what are some of my spirit animals? I know wolf is one because, I kind of have one. And he looked around me and he said, you're showing me Badger. And I went, Badger? And he goes, oh, nobody messes with a badger. And I was like, all right. And I had completely forgotten about it, for like at least a year, a while. And my aunt sends me this doll out of nowhere, and it says Badger. And it talks about Badger medicine, and it has to do with the medicine and the herbs of the earth. It's like, well, that makes sense. I'm studying Ayurveda and about natural herbs and medicine. That's an alignment. I get it. Still didn't look up much about Badger. I'm going to challenge you guys to look it up later. So anyway, she sends me this, but I still don't know where the doll is from. And as time goes by, I'm looking at something on the internet, and I see this pattern, and I click on it. It's on a piece of pottery, and I click on the pottery, and it's a design about the rainbow prophecy, and it's from the Hopi. And the pattern is the same as what's on this doll. And it's a Hopi kachina, the badger kachina, which I had no idea what a kachina even was then, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like, wow. And so things like this would come to me about the Hopi, and I wanted to go. And for some reason, I always knew that everything starts with the Hopi. Everything starts with the Hopi. And I had learned about a lot of their prophecies, started looking into the prophecies and how they're very accurate. and they're very popular, which is because they're very accurate.
Right.
And then, so what happened next? So daughter went away. This is how spirit puts you on the path, right? I wanted to go to the Hopi, but I had the kids, I had the dog, I had the house, you know, water, yard, maintain.
That's a short order job for spirit.
Yeah, it's like, how am I going to go to the Hopi?
Spirit will clear
And
the deck real quick.
well, and I put feelers out there. I was like, hey, does anybody else feel this calling to go to the Hopi? Let's take a trip. No, nothing, you know. So slowly, you know, it took a while. My daughter went to live with dad, right? And then my son went to live with dad. And a month later, my landlord said, we're selling the house. You have to be out when the lease is up, which was in August. And I was like, and I had felt that a change was coming. I felt it. I knew something was going to shift. And I should have started packing then, but I
Now,
had a lot of stuff.
how long ago was this?
This was 2015. So
okay.
this
That's right. That's right. Okay.
Yeah. So during that time from 2010 to 2015, I'm doing yoga. I went to Ayurveda school. Was going to do my second year. Ended up in the hospital. Actually, I had emergency surgery. I had a gallstone, which I thought was by the way, it's the largest gallstone Swedish hospital has ever seen. It was almost 2 centimeters in a 9-millimeter tube. And so what happened is, well, I moved a TV the day before, and so I thought I pulled a muscle. I had this pain right here, right? Mm-hmm. And I could feel it kind of in the back. And so for 3 weeks, I was twisting and stretching and massaging and rubbing. I went to massage. I went to acupuncture. I tried everything, and nothing would get rid of this pain, which seemed to kind of move too. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I could barely walk at this time. I got an ultrasound, and I didn't go to get an ultrasound. I went to a clinic because I didn't have insurance. I went to the Bastyr Naturopathic Clinic in Wallingford up in Seattle. And they took a look at me, and the doctor said, I feel a mass. I don't have the ultrasound here. You need to go get it looked at, get an image done. And so I'm like, So then it ranges from $300 to $600 everywhere you go, right? So it took another few days to find a place, and then I found a place, and I got there, and she just looked, and she's like, stay right there. And she called the doctor right away, and she goes, you need to go straight to the ER now. I'm like, but I can't. I've got the dog at home, and I've got to do, my children are in school, and she goes, now. Like, okay. And so I literally go across the way to a smaller hospital, and they're like, oh, it can't be that big. It can't be that big. It can't be that big. And so they say they're going to go into my mouth, through my mouth, and take care of it. And I wake up a while later, and they said, we're not touching that. We put in a shunt, and we're sending you by ambulance to Swedish.
Wow.
And so they did, and the doctor there goes, it can't be that big. It can't be that big. Of course. Sign here, just in case. So I signed for the surgery, and the plan was to take care of what was emergent, which was the gallstone blocking the bile duct. I had managed to get it all the way down to the head of the pancreas.
Whoa.
Yeah. So a lot of stretching, a lot of twisting. I have a high pain tolerance too, apparently.
Obviously.
Yeah. So the doctor there goes, oh, it can't be that big, can't be that big. So the plan is to go in through my mouth, break up the stone, go get insurance, and then have my gallbladder removed because it too is full of stones, which I found out are caused physiologically. It's basically cholesterol, and the fact that I had lost so much weight so quickly, and I had a high toxicity in my body anyway. That's what those are. Wow. So, and you can do a gallbladder cleanse, which softens the stones. You can pass them, but if they're too big, it's dangerous. So you need to see somebody before you do a gallbladder cleanse on your own. Just saying. Okay, so the surgery is supposed to take 45 minutes. 13 hours later.
Wow.
I wake up with 25 staples and 2 tubes coming out of me. And it took 3 days because every day I woke up, what the fuck? Right? I'm like, I'm yoga chick. I can finally wear a bikini, and you did this to me? What the fuck happened, right? So what happened is he went in through my mouth and nicked the common bile duct and didn't notice.
Mm.
And so my abdomen filled with bile and stone fragments. And I don't know if I coded or blood pressure, whatever. They had to open me up and clean me out. So it was a big recovery. And I was in the hospital for 11 days because I would not eat their food. I was absolutely appalled by what they tried to give me to heal. And of course, I know that the body is the natural healer, right? And one of the first things you can have is a clear broth, you know, clear water.
Yeah.
And gummy bears
Yeah.
are on that list. The very first thing you can have after surgery is water and gummy bears. I shit you not. Excuse me. So the next menu was like chicken broth, right? And I called the kitchen and I'm like, how do you make the chicken broth? What's it come out of? And they're like, oh, it's cubes, bouillon. I'm like, really? Can you read me the ingredients? She goes, maltodextrin. And I go, yeah, okay, thank you. Which maltodextrin is in just many, many things. And it's GMO corn. So I didn't want any of that in my body. I was here getting rid of that, right? So they sent the nutritionist to come talk to me. She was from India.
Yeah.
And I said, and I go, the gummy bears and maltodextrin. I go, I can't heal on that. And she goes, I know. Will you write a letter?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was crazy. And so my mother had flown up to take care of me, which was good, necessary. I had a friend that was taking care of the dog. And, of course, the kids were with their dad. And so I was seeing, my Ayurvedic practitioner was in California, and so I was seeing somebody else that was here local that was helping me to restore and regenerate because I was very depleted from the surgery and toxic from all the meds, you know? I mean, whatever they were giving me made me break out. My skin was just insane. And adult acne, by the way, is a key sign of liver toxicity. Not that your liver's toxic, but your liver acts as a toxic bucket. It's your natural filtration system. So if you eat, for example, an almond, it will filter the arsenic that is in the peel of the almond. But if you give it synthetic arsenic, it is going to not understand what that is. Do you see? Because it's not of nature. This is why medications, they have maybe a little vitamin A. You need vitamin A, you have to take a pill. But there's all these other fillers. The body doesn't understand what to do with it. And so it stores it. It pushes it into the weakest parts of that individual's body. And that's when you end up with masses with cysts that eventually become malignant if you don't remove them, which is what a cleanse is for. So, where was I?
You were at the point where the Indian nutrition came in. You're about to get out, I think.
Oh, of the hospital, yeah. So I was going to the doctor for restoring, and I'm talking about the liver, adult acne, that's where I was. So the liver is your toxic bucket, and it can take so much, right? And then you have to flush it out. It's like a sponge. You wring it out, and it can absorb more, right? So when your toxic bucket is full, it pushes it out through the skin, the toxins. So the stuff that comes out of your pimples, sometimes it's kind of stinky, smelly. There's pus, and then there's toxins. It's a completely different thing. But even dermatologists here will say that acne is little infections, and they treat it with antibiotics. And at 23 years old, they wanted to put me on lifelong low-dose antibiotics to control my acne. Which, again, you're 23 years old, and you're like, I don't want to be on anything for the rest of my life. That doesn't make sense. I wasn't born in order to take medicine. You know, I should still be thriving. And but still, it was many years later until I found out what was really going on with the medicines and all of that. So I went to Ayurvedic school, went into the hospital. The kids moved out. The house had to be sold, or I had to move out of the rental. And I had to put all my stuff in storage. But what happened before that is I couldn't find a place because the rents I was in the same house for 3 years. I'm living on alimony. I'm going back to school. I'm trying to get my life in order. And so
Is that when you hit the road?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to think of how it happened first. I couldn't find a place to rent. And it's funny because my phone was breaking. It's like the N and the T or something wouldn't work. And when you're trying to find a place to rent on Craigslist, you have to send an email and then you have to get an address and then you have to look it up on GPS. And it's all and the S and the T and the N wouldn't work. And so everything was so hard. It was such a challenge. And so I couldn't find a place, even in this area or this area or this area, that I could get the kids to school in a decent time. And so then I thought, well, there's got to be other people in my position. Let's make a community house. There's a raw house, a vegan house, a vegetarian house. Let's make an Ayurveda house, right? Because it's a lifestyle.
Right.
Understanding that your lifestyle actions, habits, have as much to do with your wellness as what you actually put in your mouth.
Can you say that again? Can you repeat that?
Your actions and your behaviors have a lot to do with your wellness, as well as what you put in your mouth.
Okay.
So because we take things in through the 5 senses. So it's not just what we eat, a taste, but what we smell, what we see, what we hear, and what we touch. And there's this beautiful Native American song that talks about, I walk in beauty, I dream of beauty, I speak of beauty, I am beauty. And when you hold that vibration, everything changes.
That's beautiful.
Right? So, yeah, I mean, the lullabies are so much different, which I've learned. They're empowering. Not scary, right? So, where was I?
You're trying to get a house together, community house.
Right. So my friend who owns an Ayurvedic clinic, very successful here in West Seattle, she wanted to expand. She's never even seen my house, but she knows me. And she goes, I'll give you $1,000 a month and rent 2 rooms from you for consultations and massage treatments. I said, perfect. So now I'm looking for a bigger house, and she wants it to be in Seattle, right? And I'm like, all right, well, whatever. And I'm still looking in the phone, and couldn't find a fence for the dog. It wasn't happening. So, and then 2 days before my lease expired, she pulled out.
Oh.
She's like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. And I'm like, oh, which she's got a crew. And I just knew because I have so much trust and faith, I just like, it's going to come together. It's going to be perfect. And they're going to move my stuff. And because I was going to basically furnish this almost like a wellness house. Right. And, so she pulled out. So I had 2 days to pick and pull out of boxes what I thought I might need for maybe a few weeks or a month with the dog in a tent. And I knew the kids were already with their dad. And, yeah, 2 days wasn't enough, but you grab the things that I use the most. And, my friend had been telling me, he said, everything that you take, make sure it has more than one purpose. You don't want to take anything heavy. You don't want to take this. Everything should have more than one purpose. That's so funny. My twin just texted me. I don't even know if he doesn't even know I'm on. So,
where's he at?
He's in the area.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Just wondering.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to get personal. So did you go into a tent from there?
Yes, I did. And so just me and the dog, 111-pound Alaskan Malamute, big fur, doesn't wipe her feet. It rains up here. So this was August, my first day homeless. I got to tell you, I went to and first when I put all my stuff in storage, and I had to get the biggest storage unit they had. It was 30 feet by 12 feet by 10 feet, packed full, because we had big furniture, married for 16 years. I was in the interior design community industry. So, I've got these armoires and this, beautiful desk with a partner desk and books. I mean, it's just beautiful. All this huge stuff. Refrigerator, the big one, and the washer dryer. Full, put it in the storage unit. And by the time, literally, when I rolled that down and closed that, it was like, right? So this was like a whole month of trying to find a place, many places, and dealing with all of this, and then getting it moved, paying for movers, because since I had no crew, cost me $800. They scratched the crap out of my refrigerator. It's horrible. But anyway, I put that down, and it was like, whew. And then it was like 9 o'clock at night, and I was like, and the dog's still at the house, the empty house, and I'm like, crap, where am I going to sleep? So I go get the dog and I start looking for pet motels, and I find a pet motel. I spend the night there and end up meeting this individual the next day. You know, it's always about who you meet, and it's a matter of crossing paths. And anyway, so that was my first day homeless, and I met this guy. His name was, he said, my friends call me Alien, and he turned his hat around and it said Alien, right? And it had like the big eyes. And I looked at him and I go, you're not alien. I go, you're a starseed. And he goes, what? And he just like, the word itself was like, what? What's that? And he like pointed to his homie and he goes, yo, look that up. Starseed. The guy looks it up and he reads it to him and he's just like, so I changed his life, right? And so that was the day I went to a powwow, the Muckleshoot powwow in Auburn, and I bought a pair of moccasins. And this is significant because it has to do with grounding. We're talking about grounding. The reason that we're so ungrounded, the reason we're so chaotic is because we're literally cut off from the magnetics of the earth on our rubber shoes. Mm-hmm. Even our slippers have rubber. And foam blocks the magnetics of the earth. So everything we sit on, even drive, we're on the foam. And now our beds are made of foam. We're literally, it's like we're walking around unconnected. Yeah. So when you ground, immediately this negative energy goes right from you. The mother takes it, and she can take it, and she transmutes it. There goes the volcano, little earthquake. Do you know? When we do it on a mass scale, that's how it happens. But as soon as you ground, you clear yourself. You're able to think more clearly. You're able to be.
Yeah.
You know?
I love moccasins.
So moccasins, right? They're buffalo hide. They're very thick. I only paid like $40 for them. They were too big, so I put the insert from my hiking boot in there because I found out quickly moccasins are not warm. The leather, the gold of the ground goes right through them. And this was August, so I didn't find this out until I was up in Shasta in October. And I took the insert from my hiking boot, which had, what was that, therma something? Thinsulate. Mm-hmm. And I put that in my moccasin, which was good. It fit better. And that kept the ground from being so cold. But it was still grounded. Now I'm going to tell you guys, moccasins are the best thing ever because you're grounded. You can feel the earth. You can walk on asphalt, gravel, sand, dirt. You can climb trees, rocks. The only thing I hadn't figured out was rain. And it started to rain. And so by now I had gone from the motel for a couple of nights, and it had this huge jacuzzi tub in this motel. It was like a gift. And I was like, yes, I deserve this after the stress for the past month or the past 3 years, right? 4 years. And stayed for 2 days. The dog didn't mind. And then bounced to a friend's house to let me camp in her property. And then was cat sitting for an apartment in this other place. And tiny little deck. The dog was not happy. The cat had one eye. It was
the life of a starseed, man.
Yeah, so many good stories. Everything was a blessing, though.
Yeah,
you know, like I walked the dog there, and I noticed this rake. There was a rake in the ditch, and the next day the rake was still there, and I was like, well, I think I'm going to take that rake. I might need that rake. And the next camping place I went to, I needed to rake the ground for my tent. And so I have it strapped onto the top of my car right now. I still have a rake. Anything that is needed will be provided.
Yeah.
Anything that is needed will be provided. And it's so hard to get your mind around that. It's easier with the little things because the cash is the flow. That's the problem. That's the block.
Yeah.
But or it can be, but anything that is needed. Just yesterday, I moved my friend out of this house, right? And there's something I need to mail. I need to mail off a piece of paper, and I needed an envelope. And I was like, oh, I wish all her stuff wasn't packed. You know, I know she would give me an envelope. But the truck's gone, the movers are gone, everything's gone, the fire's out. She has got a couple of bags left here. She goes, here, will you put this in the car for me? It's just paperwork. And so I take this bag, and on the very top is a box of envelopes. I was like, oh my God, I need an envelope. Can I have an envelope? She goes, yeah. And I go, you're not going to believe it. which is just like the fire that we had yesterday. So we were moving our stuff, and somebody put a box on top of the stove, and it's one of those stoves without elements. And somehow the knob got turned on, and the box caught on fire. But
Holy
just
shit.
the night before, while I was helping Lori pack, I got here early. This is my tent behind me. I actually was camping on her porch so we could move everything out, and I'm going to stay in the house. But I was packing up the porch, and I said, what about this fire extinguisher? Does that go in a box? And she goes, no, that stays. And we had talked about the smoke alarms sitting inside on the shelf and not up on the ceiling that have to get put up, right? And then the next day we have this fire, and it was just like, it was literally poetic. Fire, the guy's like, fire, fire, fire. We race up, she sees it, she points. I'm like bounding over my tent to get the fire extinguisher in the corner, right? And then I get it, and it's all dusty, and I'm like, I hate that. But I'm like, I don't know what to do. And I just see the ring, and I'm thinking like a grenade, pull and point. And so I put out the fire, and it kept igniting. Cardboard burns really good. Yeah. And so it's like, you have to do it really lightly because the embers were going behind the stove. And
Wow.
so we almost called 911, but we were able to handle it. We pulled together teamwork. It was amazing. It was great. And I was like, get a wheelbarrow, because nobody wanted to pick up the box. It was on the stove. They had taken it and on the floor, and it's just burning, and I'm shooting it, right? But the bottom is what's lit, and the fires are coming through. So I'm like, get the wheelbarrow. So somebody gets the wheelbarrow. We put the box, take the box outside. And
Fascinating.
yeah.
Real time. That's real time intel, though, man. The real time intel is in these occurrences, in these things.
Well, and this is how it works, because the little, and as far as like going on your path, stepping on your path, every step that you take on your path, you're rewarded.
Yeah.
But I also tell people, think of it as like, think of life as like a video game. Okay. So you're playing a video game and you're leveling up. So once you take that step, you're literally leveling up, and you've got a whole set of new challenges and these things coming at you. But there's all those gold coins you got to jump for. Don't forget the gold coins. You have to see the blessings where they come. The envelope, the fire extinguisher, the rake. Everything is a blessing. And when you start being thankful for all those little things, even if I drop something and I find it, or, I'm like, where's oh, there it is. Thank you. I'm always giving gratitude. To who? Doesn't matter. You're sending that vibration out, right? And it's going to come back to you tenfold. And so when you take a step on your path, which is what I'm about to tell you, so I ended up at a Dash Point State Park in Federal Way, Washington. And it's starting to rain. Now, my tent, not a camper by nature, but my tent was a 10 by 20, 3-bedroom apartment, basically. It had 3 rooms. It had shoe racks in each room, bay windows, an e-port, and you could zip off and close the rooms off. And it was great, and I never went camping I went camping with a bunch of friends, moms, but never with my husband and children. Even though I had the tent then, I camped in the yard with the children, but we never actually went out anywhere. Anyway.
All right.
So this tent, I'm like, well, I'm going to live in the Swiss Army condo with the dog. And it was great because I had her food in the kitchen and the treats all in one side, and I could zip it closed. And then her stuff and the clothes rack was in the middle, and my bed and the yoga mat and my altar was on the other side. And it was lovely. But the last time I had used it, somebody, sweet soul, he talked me into packing it up with the rainfly. The rainfly was damp, and he talked me into rolling it up, and I had forgotten about it, of course. And so when I went to use this great big awesome tent I figured I was going to live in with the dog for at least a month, it was moldy, a little bit mildewy, and it had started to rain. It had about 101 leaks. So,
Oh, shit.
yeah, every candle, every pot, everything I could to catch the water and the drips, I did. Towels, everything. And, after a few days, then I ended up putting a great big huge tarp, like a painter's tarp, clear tarp, over the whole thing. And again, another angel, because it wasn't big enough. So I went to go to the hardware store to buy another tarp. Same thing, exact same thing, 10 by 20 tarp. Same milliliter, everything. I get back to the campsite, and I open it up, and it's literally twice as huge. It's like miscut. or not cut. It's too big, but not too big. It's just big enough because this tent is 10 by 20. Right. And so a camper neighbor, because we're all help each other. It's so amazing out there. Right. She's like, oh, I got some duct tape. So she comes over and she's duct taping the thing together and helps me wrap it up because I'm short. This thing is tall and, another angel blessing. Right. But after a few days, it starts to get kind of musty in there. And Kaya seems like she might be breathing funny and it smells and she doesn't wipe her feet and nothing dries up here. Even the salt is wet. Where are they? My rolling papers. This is my organic tobacco, folks. The rolling papers were all stuck together. It's just a humidity.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing dries, like I said. So I was sitting outside on the picnic table, and I had a pad of paper and a pen here on one side, and I had my phone over here on the other side. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And I'm like meditating. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And I noticed that there's a raindrop or two on my phone, and there's a raindrop or two on my pad. And I look up, and it's raining just real slightly. And I go like this, and I swear to God, Todd, it's not raining on me. It's raining everywhere. I can see it like a veil.
Yeah.
And it's not raining on me. And I'm hearing this frequency, right? And I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? And it was go directly to the Hopi, go directly to the Hopi, go directly to the Hopi. In capitals is how I hear it,
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, well, I don't have the kids holding me back. I don't have the house holding me back. I do have the dog, and that's a pretty good thing because I'm living in a tent.
Yeah.
Right? So I end up on this journey to the Hopi. It took me 5 weeks and 5 trips.
Is that northern Arizona?
Yes.
Okay.
Second Mesa. Mesa is the town.
Yeah.
Or the reservation, yeah. And so it took me 5 weeks to prepare because I had to get a new windshield. I had to get new tires. I had to get, the vehicle worked on and get the dog medications, get the car re-registered. And then 5 trips back and forth to the storage unit because now we're talking about a 5-6 week period of time here that, like I had a NutriBullet to make smoothies. That didn't make the cut.
Yeah.
I miss it dearly. It was
I'm sure not
nice.
too much did. Do you still have that? Do you still have that storage unit?
No. I paid on that for 2 years, and
I've been there.
Yeah,
I've been there.
Yeah. And then the price went up. It was $281 to start with. Ended up being almost $400 because by then I had a late fee every month.
Yeah.
So it was a $50 late fee, and so I only had 5 days to get into it, and I'd take out what I could sell in order to pay for it.
Yeah.
And it just was such a heartache and headache and hassle and posting and calling and so no, I did end up losing that. I got like $2,000 for it, which apparently I've never seen Storage Wars, but I hear that's pretty good. Because again, I had an interior designer. I had this like $1,800 armoire right there when you roll up.
Yeah, I had one of mine sold. And I was in Florida, and it was in California, and I went to California for some consulting work back in my old life, and they actually keep the things they don't sell for a certain period of time. I was able to recover like pictures and things like that people didn't want.
Well, here anyway, it's the law that they have to give you back anything personal like photos, and I thought that would also include the photos on my laptop that was in there, but no, and all of the journals with all of my notes and all of my awakenings and all of this. No, they didn't return those. They're supposed to return legal documents like my passport.
Yeah.
They didn't. They're supposed to return that stuff, but that's it.
So you end up going to the Hopi reservation.
Yeah, it took me. Let's see. I got there the day before the basket ceremony, which was in November, I believe. I'm not sure. And I was 5 days past the rainbow journey with Hereditary Chief Phil Lane Jr. Had just been through there. And so it's funny because I didn't know what I was going to do. Go to the Hopi and do what? And somebody gifted me a book that was the 13 Indigenous Grandmothers. Now, up here in Seattle during this time, right, I had sat with Hereditary Chief Phil Lane Jr. and Mona Palaka is Hopi Tewa, one of the 13 Indigenous Grandmothers, which if you don't know the story, look that up. That's amazing and powerful. And somebody gave me this book, and I'm like, oh, and I look through for Mona because I remember I met this woman, and she's Hopi. I'm like, oh, that's who I'm supposed to see.
There you go.
And so I knew who I was going to go contact, of course. But that's when I got there, and Mount Shasta, the story is in between there, so I got to tell you that. But when I got to the Hopi, she was in, I believe, South Dakota, taking care of one of the other grandmothers who was going through transition. She was getting ready to pass.
Yeah.
So I ended up actually never meeting with her down there again, but I did get to the reservation, and that's the story. But I do want to tell you, are you seeing any comments? What do people want to hear about? Do they want to hear about the twin
just keep
flame?
going. No, just keep going. This is Soulogy style, man. We don't follow the norm. This is a conversation. And the proof is in the pudding.
Well, I'm doing a lot of talking. I know.
No, just keep going.
Okay. So, let's see. So
not that we don't respect the comments and stuff, but they're coming so fast, I can't see them anyway. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I can't see anything.
Yeah.
So what happened? So I go on the road. So I first day homeless, mobile. I like to say mobile. I bought moccasins, right?
Right.
And I had to do all these things before I could leave. The last thing I needed to do was hit the DMV or the Department of Licensing office and get new tabs for my car. Because I knew. And I told people, I was like, just a few months, until I'm able to get another place. But when I rolled that storage unit down, I knew deep down it was going to be a lot longer. I had a feeling.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I'm ready. Everything's ready. I'm going to leave on Monday. And then Sunday rolls around, and I've realized now that Monday is Indigenous Peoples Day, what used to be known as Christopher Columbus's Day.
Right.
Right? Up here we call it Indigenous Peoples Day. A lot of cities, towns, I don't know if entire states have adopted it. I think they have. That it's Indigenous Peoples Day. And I was like, oh my God, huge. I'm going to the Hopi. I've got moccasins. I've studied Indigenous wisdom. I'm going to see this grandmother. And I'm leaving on Indigenous Peoples Day. How epic. How timing, right?
Yeah.
But then I was like, shit, the office is going to be closed. It's a holiday. And I've got the cooler packed, everything. I'm ready to go. And I'm checking on the phone, and I call, and they're open. I don't know how. I don't know why, but thank goodness they were open. And so I was able to go and leave. And I didn't get very far. I only got like 4 hours down the road somewhere in Oregon and stayed the night. And of course, it was because the motel clerk that I met there, we had some words, and it's one of those, oh my God, you changed my life. I'm never going to think of this the same way again, or whatever it was. And then I end up finally going to Mount Shasta. And you've got to understand, I've got a 2007 Hyundai Santa Fe SUV.
Mm-hmm.
And Kaya is 110 pounds. She takes up the whole back seat. The car is packed like Tetris, and I kid you not. She's got the whole seat, but the bottom has got rugs, and the top behind her is all packed up. So whenever I get her out of the car, and she was handicapped, all right? She used to be a sled dog. Mm-hmm. I was her 5th family at 2 years old. We got her. And she had been injured. We didn't know that. She had been injured and released from a team. She was the dominant female lead on a sled team. She remembered the commands. She knew how to pull. I had to learn. I didn't know anything about dogs. I had to learn a lot, right? I pinned her down and all of this. I had to learn dog language, which is funny considering what I do now. But anyway, every time I had to pull over, to get Kaya out of the car, I would have to open up the back and pull out a pathway for her, which included the ramp, her bed, my bathroom bag, a box full of leather and beads. I don't know why that came. The funny things that came at the last minute, Todd, I have a 5-foot copper wind chime that is butterfly consciousness. And I don't know why. I don't know how I even had room at the last minute.
5 foot.
All of these, all of the things, all of the native things wanted to come with me.
Taller than your car.
Well, when it's hanging, it's 5 feet. You know, the box is probably 3.5 feet. But somehow I don't know. I don't understand. I still don't understand. It's just perfect, and it fit in there perfect. So I had to remove all these things in order to get Kaya out. So our MO traveling this whole time was, for example, if we woke up at a motel, I'd wake up, do my yoga, have my breakfast, walk the dog, pack up, shower, pack up, check out, make lunch, either at the hotel parking lot, or we usually find a park or something, and well, you know, and then we'd drive for like 4 or 5 hours as long as she could handle it, and then pull over at a park, get her out, walk her, then I'd stretch and do some yoga, walk me, and then I'd cook, because I'd also cook my own food and cook her food. And so I ate all organic, which started out with just milk and then eggs and then bread, and then all of a sudden my whole refrigerator is organic. The more that you learn, the more you understand, right? And it's important that the fresh food is fresh food, fresh, not frozen, not microwaved. I'm sorry, I know we love our conveniences, but when you alter the molecular structure of the food, it no longer has any chi. It no longer has any life.
Yeah.
It's like if you pull a carrot out of the ground, it's very crunchy. You can snap it, crunch. It sits there for a couple of weeks. It starts to get a little limp, right? A little soft. If you freeze the carrot and take it out and defrost it, it also is very noodly. It's a little weak. It doesn't have any more life left in it. So eating fresh, whole, organic, this is what's important. So cook the food, and then we'd go find a motel or a campsite, you know, and do the whole thing over again. It was just, we didn't travel very, so it took me 2 weeks to get to Mount Shasta from Seattle. Because I also wanted to enjoy, and I didn't want to drive through the night on the beautiful Oregon coast. I started to, and then I went, what am I doing? I've got nobody to tell me when to stop, where to stop, how to stop.
Yeah.
This is my vacation. Not so much a vacation, survival, but still, I'm going to go see some things with the dog. Yeah. So
what happened? What happened in Shasta?
Shasta.
Now we're still going back. This is 3 years ago, right?
Yes, this is
when your journey started.
Right. This was October.
And I got to tell you, I was going to hold off until I heard more synchronicities.
Yeah, go ahead.
So there's I went homeless for 2 years. I didn't have a car though. I didn't have a dog. But so my journey.
I don't have a dog anymore. So go ahead. Go ahead.
So, but my journey was the first 7 months on foot, and then about another year and a half. It was like 2 phases. I got a car. It lasted about 6 weeks, and then I went to jail, and the car went away, and all this stuff happened. But one of the things that happened was the chiefs. I had 3 spirit guides, and they were all from a previous Lakota life, and I did the same thing.
Oh, Lakota line. Okay.
Yeah, Lakota life. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so one of them was Chief Running Bear. Oh. And you said, you named the guy Running Bear.
Art Running Bear.
Yeah. Now this was and I looked it up and actually found this guy.
Okay.
And then the other one was
not the same chief, right? We're talking about two different running bears. Yeah. Just
the coincidence of it. Then also, one of the other ones was a Chief White Wolf, which was a spirit guide. Was the spirit of my heart.
Oh.
And then you said something else a minute ago. I can't remember what it was, but there was another
synchronicity.
Yeah. And
I've had synchronicities with you, and every time that I'm watching, and see right now, I see my love's birth date up there. every time I'm watching you, I would see my birth date and 44 or 444 or 222 or 11111, you know, and you. And it was like, all right, I need to talk to this guy. And part of it was, you need to be making videos too. You need to be interviewing people too, because I have, like you, I've got this gift of gab. But
well, you know, I think Monday I'm going to go find a place to go into isolation for about 5 to 7 days, and I've been working on this 24-hour, 7-day a week, 365-day, the world's first universal cast that never stops, multiple channels, accessed by a handheld app. And so I've been building, you know, I produce a few shows for others, and then of course I do my radio shows and this show. And I have a lot of material. I have like months and months of material. Like I could literally just put it in and push a button and it would play for 3, 4, 5 months. But what I'm looking for, one of the things that I'm looking for, and I'm sitting here talking to you, and I'm thinking, I'm going to talk to her after this show's over because she'd be perfect. I'll back, I'll, so I'll support you.
perfect for, what do you mean? To stand in and do some interviews in your absence?
Well, the way
Is that what
this,
you're saying?
no, to develop your own show, and I'll produce, and I'll just produce it for you. You do your own thing. I do 3 or 4 shows like this now, and so, no, and the way this thing will work is we'll have our own site, and instead of everybody having their own websites and all that, you know, and I've got a lot of people that are ready. We'll all do it from one location, one internet location, and it'll be multiple channel, and it's all based on what you put into it. And it also involves the 5D commerce, which is, we all know, if we drive enough traffic to an internet site, you're going to have all the advertisers and sponsors you can handle. So that'll be the main influx of reciprocation. It'll be a third of everything that comes
You're
in.
going to have to talk to me about this again,
Yeah.
because you just said
Yeah,
produce your own show, and I'm like over there.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I'll start going and going and going. But no, I was thinking that while I was sitting here, I was going, okay, this is one. This is one of them right here.
well,
So.
you know what's funny is we've said that I'm clairaudient. I knew I had this gift in high school and didn't really think much about it before, but I remember being in high school and the teacher would explain something on the board, like algebra, or I don't know what it was, and well, it's a lot of things. It's all the time, but this one was a word problem actually in algebra, and she explained it, and you know, she's like, "Okay, everybody get it?" You know, she's writing on the board. And I got it, but I could tell that there was confusion in the room and that somebody had a question, and I could hear the question. If they don't ask it, I'll ask it. I would ask it, you know, and then I'd hear, "Oh, I'm so glad you asked that question." And then the teacher would explain it again, and if they still didn't get it, then I would explain it in a way that they could understand.
Right.
And I didn't even realize that this was something that was happening all the time and really my whole life. And it's not that I can hear one person's thoughts specifically, but it's more like a collective understanding.
Yeah.
More, you know, more of a circle. And so I'm a circle connector. I bring people together to work on projects. And
Well,
yeah, but I've been guided. I'm supposed to be doing videos. It's like, oh, constantly.
Yeah.
But I have this big fear. And you heard me when we started talking. I was a little shaky.
No.
I had stage fright.
I've done 500. This is 568. This show, and this is not counting the radio shows. It's not counting probably another 2,000 videos. I mean, and you're really good at it. You've got a natural. You're natural. So, and you've got a great wide, you know, myriad of experiences and different things you can offer. Let me ask you this: how do you? And we've already gone an hour and 20 minutes, so we can go a little bit longer. It's not a big deal. But how do you navigate? You know, and I'm really against using 3D words because I want to be real careful about what I say. But how do you get by? How do you get reciprocation to support your efforts? And I know you do some. You're a practitioner of some sorts, aren't you?
Well, I don't. Yes and no. I don't practice anything specifically. I should say I'm supposed to be starting a spiritually based practice or career, right?
Okay. So do you do session work with people? Do you help people, and do they give you contributions for doing that, or are you?
I have done that a couple of times, a couple of things like that. Mostly, it's anywhere and everywhere. I'll talk to people and help them in that way. Again, I can take them through an exercise and ground them
Yeah, yeah,
and move some things or something.
yeah.
But no, I don't make money doing that. When I was going through a divorce, I had alimony, and then when I left, when on the road, when I was out of the state, some tricky things happened with my alimony.
Mm-hmm.
It got withheld.
Oh,
Some court custody paperwork went through in my absence. Then, so some legal things that are actually working out now as we speak. And
yeah, yeah.
this is one of those entanglement energies
That,
that has,
that,
you
yeah.
know, that is
That,
keeping the rest. Yeah.
but
So
it'll work in your, yeah. Okay, I got you.
yeah, so I had money. I had money when I went on the road. I could afford
Yeah,
campsites and motels, but then that disappeared,
yeah.
and it was cut in half. But then I got in a car accident right after Shasta. So let's talk about Shasta.
Yeah, let's talk about Shasta. I don't want to. Let's get through that story, and then I want to, because we're gonna do this again. So
I can go for hours. I've
yeah.
got so many subjects, so many things I
So
need to talk about.
yeah. No, definitely.
I do also have to tell you the grasshopper story from Standing Rock, because that has
Uh,
to do with the divine feminine, and it's huge. It's huge.
I
It's
want to.
huge.
Yeah, I want to hear that. I also want to hear about the butterfly thing, because that was another thing. When I
Ah,
started, the butterfly thing was huge, and I'm talking butterfly angels, and I'm talking butterflies, and and it's never gone away. It's been in my face, and very much connected to the divine feminine energies in my life, including Morgan. So that
uh-huh.
butterfly thing's been, and I've never heard anybody say that to me about the
Butterfly
butterflies.
consciousness.
Yeah. So let's go to Shasta first. Let's go there.
Okay. And I will say that I saw the birth of my soul before Shasta.
Mm.
Um, and so I left with that knowledge.
Now, was it the birth of your soul
My twin flame soul. So let me tell you.
originally, or was it the birth of your soul for this incarnation?
Well, let me tell you what I saw. And
Okay.
this happened. Oh no, wait. This didn't happen then. This happened after. This happened before I left town for another trip.
Well,
Okay,
you
go
have
back.
you have you have 3D short-term memory loss, like I
Yeah.
do.
Okay, so Mount Shasta. I get up to Mount Shasta. It's October. I'm at Redford Flat Group Campground. It's October, so there's no groups there. No Boy Scouts, no yoga retreats, nothing. There's some guy way over there with a generator, so I know he can't hear me scream. And there's bear boxes, and I kind of have this thing about that's like one of the few fears I have, Todd. One of the very few fears I have is bears and mountain lions.
Well, you know why that is, right?
Well, because they get attacked up here.
Well, it's probably got something to do with the past lives too. Because
it, it may.
I had the same thing with bears, and I went up into. I left for a second spirit walk, I guess, in October 2016, and I went up to the mountains in Arkansas. And I had this on top of a mountain at a swimming hole on a full moon. Had this.
I need to go there.
Oh my God, it was incredible. I had apparitions. I had a sister with me. She witnessed the whole thing. I mean, I drew a triangle on the ground. I put all these things I've been carrying with me on my journey. I took all my clothes off. I got dirt all over me. I'm howling like a wolf and screaming like a bear. But there was a point. And I didn't know I was afraid. Because I really had been through so much, like you, and I was just like, fuck it. I'm not afraid of anything. I know who I am, and this, and I've got the thunderboons are talking to me and all this stuff. But what was funny was, so here I am covered in dirt.
But you're a 6-foot man. You don't have to be afraid of it.
Yeah, but if
I'm
you're
a 5-foot, 100-pound little girl, but my dog is big.
yeah, if you're in the top of a mountain and it goes pitch black, and you're walking through the woods, and you hear, I was like, oh, that was.
You heard a growl.
Oh hell yeah, I did. And so it was like it took me to this place, and you know, took me to this place. It was a dimensional experience too, obviously, but it was also physical. And I had the same thing happen with a mountain lion in Utah on a mountain when I was up there last year. So what ended up happening was I went to that place and we stood face to face, and I thought, well, what if he runs at you? And I thought, well, what the hell am I going to do? I'm just going to run right at him. You know, fuck it. so something
We're talking about
aligned.
A bear, not a mountain lion, right?
No,
you didn't know.
The mountain lion thing was in Utah. And it was when I was having this stuff with the divine feminine. And I never saw the mountain lion. I never saw the bear. But I felt the energy. And again, it was a you know, quasi-dimensional experience, you know, kind of like when you're laying down and you're half asleep and you're in dimension, but you're half awake, you know, it's kind of like that. But it would definitely, both of those were very meaningful. So back to Mount Shasta, what happened?
Okay. So when I get there, of course, and I take thousands of pictures. I take a picture of the odometer because it was like 4:4. I got there at 4:44 and it was like 88888 on the odometer or something. I posted it in the story. And so I was like, okay, I just knew I was in alignment. And I drive in, and there's this great big, huge, giant figure 8, like an infinity loop. Can you see my ring?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a big infinity loop for like school buses to turn around, right?
Yeah.
And there's these 3 giant trees in the middle. 3, of course. And I was just like, whoa. And I was trying to find a place to park. And so I go up to this little, what I thought was like a little, you know, campsite. And I go around this boulder, and I go up, and I can't go anymore. And I'm like, okay. And I put it in reverse, and I'm looking in my mirror for the rock. And I say, no te preocupas, todo está bien. And I went, abuela? Abuela? And I hear, sí. And I went, Narcisa? Because I have 2 abuelas, right? I go, Narcisa? She goes, claro. And I'm like, oh. And she's like, todo está bien, right? So just go ahead and back up. It's fine. That's what she was saying. It's fine.
Yeah.
And
hablo español un poquito, tito.
Yeah. So I was just like, whoa. And that's the first time I've ever connected with my grandmother, or really spoken.
Man, this is too weird, man.
Right?
This is too weird. This is another one. My grandmother was the first soul I encountered that was on the other side of the veil. So 2 years later, I go to Arkansas, and I'm staying with my sister up there, my soul sister. That was where I went to the mountain. And my soul sister is into the 13 grandmothers. Okay. She was taught several different languages through the ethers, several different native languages. We've had many lives and this and that together, brother, sister, whatever. And so I'm sitting on and I go to her house. I'm in this room, that spare room, and I have, you know, my own room, and I'm making music. I mean, you know, I do SOULSPEAKS. You know, it's not singing, it's not rapping. It's, you know, I don't know if you've seen it, but so I'm making this music. Yeah. So she comes in.
I love it, by the way.
I'm like, thank you. And so I said, go get me a bottle of honey whiskey, because I like to drink a little bit, you know, when I'm making music. So she sits down with me on the couch, and my grandmother jumps into her for 2 days, for 2 nights. She jumps into her, and so I've never seen anybody do this. She's half her and half my grandmother. And I'm having these conversations with my grandmother, and she starts to tell me about the Hopi blue kachina and how I came through.
Oh my God.
Yeah. That's how I came through from the galactics.
The Blue Star Kachina. I just saw a bus like mine. My bus. I bought an airport shuttle bus, a white bus, and it's stuck in Stockton, California right now. Yeah. But I just saw one that said Blue Star on it, and that was fine. I thought it was a Blue Star Kachina. Keep going.
Well, I'm just saying it's another synchronicity. And, you know, for me, it used to be like, oh, wow, man, wow, you know, and everybody would and everyone did it because it was a lot of stuff to take in. But now I see the synchronicities, and they're not coincidences, and I see them, and I'm able to move through the wow pretty quick. So, again, it's just more signs of alignment that we're on the right path. This kind of situation is no different than the 9999s I've been seeing for the last 2 weeks. You know, as we
only 2 weeks.
Well,
I've been seeing that for a while. Yeah, it's the end of a cycle, so it's the end of this.
This is the month. of completion. Yeah, this is it. I'm digging this month, and this is a great. It's 9/6 right now, right? It's It's September the 6th at
Ah.
10:32 Eastern time, which is a 6, and it it just goes on and on. So anyway,
Anyway,
so what?
okay,
Oh, so you heard your grandmother's
so
come
I heard
through.
my grandmother, and I couldn't
Yeah.
park there, so I went and I found another place. And by now, I had bought a different, bought a, and nobody had these back then. It was a 13-foot octagon with steel rods into the circle.
Yeah.
So you've got the 4 cardinal directions, the 8 sacred directions. I'm literally in a portal
Yeah.
camping, right?
Yeah.
So spend a week up on the mountain with the dog. Her birthday is October 17th. I've got this epic picture of her on my Three Feathers page. I've got a Three Feathers public page, and there's the Journey to the Hopi story is on there. Only the first chapter, and I keep promising the story of Shasta, which is what we're going to get to. So having a dog and meditating is not that easy because, first of all, I didn't have her on a leash, of course, because there's nobody freaking up there. But if I wanted to go to the special rocks that I was told to go visit, and that was an entrance to, another dimension and Shasta and yada, yada, yada. I went there and I sat there, but Kaya was like, come on, let's go, and if I leave her at the tent, she'll whine if she can see me or hear me. And so it's a challenge with the dog. So we were up there for a week. Another instance I had is it was night, it was dark, and those 3 trees in the center of that loop, I was looking at them one day, and it's like twilight, it's getting dark, it's kind of twilight, and the 3 trees turned into like these huge 2 pillars, and in the middle was a face, and it was the spirit of Mount Shasta.
Wow.
And it said to me, I am forever. And I was like, whoa. Right? It was just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. And then a couple nights later, it happened again because I forgot. And I didn't write it down. And the exact same thing happened again. I am forever. And I was like, okay, thank you. I will remember. And anytime something like that happens, I'm always grateful, gratitude for showing me. And then nothing else really exciting happened on the mountain. But I went down. And I had been going into the city to get my water and get ice and yada, yada, yada. And so I wanted to find a motel after a week. It had snowed up on the top of the mountain. And I went, okay, this tent is not equipped for snow. We're leaving. And I was a little disappointed because I thought I was going to, have some woo experience. But so I went to a hotel in Weed, California. And again, I'm on Yelp or on the GPS trying to find a motel, and the address, the numbers was like 1144 or something like that. And I went in and I, it was like, how much is a room? Okay. And I went to a few other motels, ended up back at that same motel, which I should have just stayed in. Got the room, which was probably like number 11. I don't know. I took pictures of all of that too,
Yeah.
And, I was preparing a bath because I was very sore, and it's a big tent, and I've got a lot of stuff and a lot of moving and lifting. And so I was going to take an Epsom salt bath, which I do all the time. And the bathroom is kind of a small bathroom, and it's got these little blue tiles. The whole walls, everything is completely tiled. And I fill up the bath with a shower, so it gets steamy and hot in there, just like a sauna. It's cold. And I had the Epsom salts and some lavender. Yeah, lavender oil drops in there. And I get in the bath, I step in, and I realize, oh shit, I have to pee. And so I turn to get out. It's always when you step in, right? So I grab the towel, the big white fluffy towel, and I go to get out. And right across from me is the mirror, and it's all steamed up, right? But I can see my image, my figure. I can see the braids, and I can see the white towel, and I can tell where my eyes are. And as I'm looking, I feel this tingling in my legs, the water, right? And this tingling, and it starts going up, and it goes above the water line. And I'm just sitting there going, allow, allow, allow. Because if you have fear, it will stop, right? Whatever you're seeing or experiencing something, if you allow it, to come into your field. It can come into your field. If you have
Yeah.
fear, it will go. It doesn't want to
Surrender.
scare you, right?
Surrender.
So I was just thinking, allow, allow, allow. And the water came up. There, the tingling came up, up, up. And I thought, it's got to be the water, because all the motels or all the towns surrounding Mount Shasta are fed by the water of Mount Shasta.
Yeah.
In aquifers. The water's not altered and changed in chemicals, nothing. So I was like, it's got to be the water, because everything else is the same, right? That's what I'm thinking. And the tingling comes up, and when it gets to my face, I swear to God, my face and my hair change over and over and over, but my eyes stay the same. So
You're
I'm
looking
literally,
in the mirror.
I'm looking in the mirror. I've got the white fluffy towel. You know, the shower's off now because I had gotten in, and it's starting to, all the steam had fallen. It's starting to clear up a little bit, but I'm looking at myself, and my face is changing over and over and over. And I'm just thinking, allow, allow, allow. And I'm perceiving it. So I was like an old woman. I was man. I was woman.
So you
I
were
was man. I was boy.
You were seeing your incarnations.
Yes, I was seeing all of my past lives. And I was old, I was young, I was pretty, I was ugly, I was thin, I was fat, I was scarred. Wait.
Go ahead.
I had sideburns like a rabbi. I had the big hat. I had the white wig like from colonial times.
Yeah.
I had a crown. I had feathers.
Yeah.
I had antlers.
Yeah.
And then as I'm watching this, and I'm just thinking allow, right? My right eye starts to sparkle. I get like stars. Yeah. And I thought, oh shit, I'm about to see myself off planet.
Yeah. That's what I was about to ask you.
Well, and that right there, that oh shit was enough to make it stop.
Stop. Yeah.
But what happened then is I dropped the towel, and I started laughing uncontrollably, and my hands started doing this. Let me back up. I started doing this, and I'm going, ha, 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 ha. And I'm looking in the mirror, and I'm thinking, allow, and I'm like, ha, 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 ha. And what was coming, it was coming, the information. I was mining the Akash for all the attributes I would need for this lifetime.
You were aligning.
Yeah. For this journey, right? I was literally, but I wasn't a lawyer. I don't think I was ever a lawyer. I really need that.
So here's another one, right? Here's another sync. And I think these are starseed syncs, really, you know. But so this past summer, my divine partner, you know, we had a ceremony. We got married for visa reasons. But when she first came, we were in Georgia, and we've done a lot of stuff, obviously, when we weren't in the physical space of each other. So what happened we had several occurrences, about 6 different occurrences over the 12 weeks she was here. But the first, like a week after she got here, we're laying in bed, and I'm like you, I get those tones, and I could hear, I was like, hey, they're coming. They're almost here. They're here. So we end up kneeling on the bed, looking at each other, and this was what was so cool about it, was that it was 2 of us. It wasn't just one, right? So we're sitting there looking at each other. We got our hands up, you know. We're like holding each other's hands, facing each other like if we were doing a ceremony.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, we could see the DNA in each other, on each other's body, and then this is why I was going to ask you about the off-planet stuff. So then we both watched each other, their faces morph from one incarnation to the other. We both recognized each other, you know, in each other's lives. But then the crazy thing was, and maybe because there was 2 of us, and she was giggling, and I was like going, what the fuck is going on? You know? But
who are you? You're changing, right? Yeah.
So well, I recognized her, but it was just, so what ended up happening was, at one point, these were all Earth incarnations, but then all of a sudden, they started turning into all these off-planet, off-universe. One of them had like 2 heads, tall, short, and it was, and that's why I was going to ask you, and you were telling me that. Did you see any off-planet? But
no.
Yeah, but still, that's fascinating. And these are the things, and again, when that happened, as I understand it now, in fact, I just got this last night. I did a post this morning. Last night, I had a pretty powerful night. Arcturian, Council of 9, Sirian aspect, Alpha Centaurian aspect. And what they were telling me is one of the other episodes we had, two of them, there was a different episode where the galactic aspects filled the room, and we could see them. We could see them. We couldn't see through them, but you could see the definition of their face and stuff. Two of them walked behind me and walked into my body. And last night they told me that these two, the Syrian and the Alpha Centaurian, were the two that walked into my body that night. And they explained to me, and this is why I'm telling you this, because of what you just said about pulling from the Akashic. They explained to me that these were activated in me in that moment, but that I still had to embody them fully, meaning I had to, and that's what I got last night. So that's what was happening with you. That was an alignment and activation, pulling in
So
those.
what was the time span between you realizing that and last night that happened?
Well, I knew the night that it happened, which would have been in, let's say, June, that they were aspects of me because they were touching us. You know, they were like touching us, and not in a bad way. They were just But then I watched this one. I watched this one walk right by me, and then I could feel him go into me, and it wasn't anything bad because I've had energies try to go into me and stuff before. And so it was okay, but I didn't know who they were. I didn't know what aspects they were until last night. So I would say it's been, what, 3 months? You know, something like that.
Wow. So now do you think you're fully embodied now?
Well,
or the
way it was, am I fully embodied? I think today, I woke up today, I pulled together the Arcturian, the Alpha Centaurian, and the Syrian, and I put an expression out, or I put like a synopsis out, like a summary of everything I felt at that moment. I also talked about the divine conscious union that we have and what that played, which all that information I've gotten from her as a sacred, wisdom carrier, as many women are. But anyway, I would say today was the day that I started to consciously embody them. In other words, Monday I'm going to go to work. That's the Syrian, the Alpha Centaurian aspect is like the director. It's like the high-minded director. Even explained to me that the reason that you were, having trouble grounding is because you were always up here. That was me. So the Syrian's kind of the one that does the creation and the work. Let's get the job done. That one. And then the Arcturian Council of Nine came to me about 2 weeks ago in Houston. And what I got, and I didn't understand that until last night. What that was like, they are the ninth dimensional Council of Nine, ninth dimension, pure love. They're like the passion. They're like the unconditional love, the passion of the mission and that type of thing. So I feel like the embodiment started today. And I think that it'll get bigger and bigger every day. And I'm sure there'll be other aspects. It's, as time goes on for all of us, really.
That's pretty amazing.
But I was instructed to put it out even though I don't have all the picture put together, I was instructed to put it out so that it would activate other star seeds, and then other star seeds would start telling their stories to activate. Because it's not the literal, hey, this is how you do it, da-da-da-da-da. That's not what activates us. What activates us, as I understand it, are the experiences just like this, just like me and you talking, and it's it's beneath the words. It's the frequency of the pure intent and the high unconditional love.
You're a code carrier. I was told that. So I've been getting wake-up thoughts for well over a year now. Well, actually, it started while I was in Santa Fe, so that was in 2016. Excuse me. I would wake up with like a name on my lips, like somebody I have no idea the name, and I'm looking it up on Facebook and Google, and not really connecting. And it happened a couple of times, and then every now and then it'll be a phrase, and after and it's good. It's intel. It's actually good intel.
Right.
One of them was the name of my twin, which was somebody I already knew, met, had relationship on and off with. And the name, so I was given his name and the number 111. And so we were in separation at the time, and I sent him a text, and I was like, all right, this happened. I know it's life purpose. We have work to do together. Can we just figure it out? We have work to do together.
Yeah.
And still, trying to remember, I would have to go back and look at my notes on the timeline of when I saw the birth of our soul and knew for sure that he was my twin, if it was before or after that. No, it was after that. I mean, I knew he was my twin before that. So let me just tell you that story really quick. So I met him in 2014.
We hang on.
Oh,
Well, hang on a second. Because I'm going to suggest something right now. I do
okay.
everything. So we have the butterfly story. We still got to hear. We've got
That was in the top 3. That's your top 3.
there's another one that you mentioned, and I can't remember what it was now. It
It
was
was the grasshopper and
the
Standing Rock,
grasshopper, and then
the birth
there's
of my
the
soul
twin.
in Mount
Then
Shasta.
there's the twin. So what I'm going to suggest is this, okay? Because I'm probably going to slow down beginning Monday, because I'm going to go and finish this website, and I'm going to pull this shit together because the Syrian's got his foot up my ass.
So is this 5
But
to 7 days of work focus, or is this a retreat for you to go
no,
inside?
no, no. This is just me being alone in a space where I can work unobstructed. But what I was going to say is, and I'll do a few shows, but I'm not going to. But tomorrow, so Friday and Saturday are pretty much it. And I got a full slate, not a full slate tomorrow. I got 4 tomorrow. I got 2 on Saturday. So what I'm going to suggest, if you're open to it, because there's no way, it's already been almost 2 hours.
Well, you went 4 with Lisa.
That's like and I would do that if I was prepared for it. I'm just not prepared for it. But what I was going to say is, do you want to do something again tomorrow or Saturday?
Oh yeah, I
And
thought
we
you were
can
just
go.
saying you were too full.
No, I could. Let me look at my
Can you
schedule here.
can you squeeze me in?
Of course I
Maybe
can.
you need a secretary. I think you
I,
need a
I
secretary.
need something. I'm going to tell you
You
right
need
now.
an
I need
appointment
something.
maker at the
So
very least.
I could do, but I'd like to get it at a good time. You know what would be good?
Hmm.
Let's see. What time did we start tonight? Actually, Saturday at this time would be good.
Saturday
Saturday.
in the Saturday in the evening people go out.
Well, no, it's trust me.
We don't. Star
Yeah,
seeds don't go.
trust me. It's a good day. Saturday.
Okay.
If we got together again at, what was it, 6 p.m. Pacific?
Yeah.
6 p.m. Pacific is very good because we catch like we've had a good crowd tonight. It's been solid.
Yeah.
But I think yeah, because we could go a couple hours again on Saturday if you want to.
Okay, so let's just ask really quick here. And yes, that's fine. Saturday is good. I just want to ask, so if we have time for one more story, what it is I should tell you.
Yeah, we do. I was going to suggest another 10, 15 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. So do you see comments? What do people want to hear about? Do they want to hear about the grasshopper and the divine feminine? Grasshopper brings big medicine.
Let's
It's
let's
astral. It's
I
astral. But the
well
birth of the soul and the twin, that's so huge. And
I think,
you know.
yeah, you know what? Because look, 'cause I obviously have a divine conscious partner. We've got a lot of similarities here. I think this is I think that the birth is probably related to the divine feminine, and then you're going to bring in the galactics, and I can feel it. So
Well,
what about the what was the other one?
let me just do the birth of the soul, because that's a big teaser. The twin flame thing is pretty popular and people are confused. So
Yeah,
let's do that, and because it'll eliminate the questions and we can get more into the story and trials and tribulations of that at
now
another time
let
if
me
you
ask you
want.
this too before you start. Do you do when you're done? I'm not going to ask you when you're done with this story. I want you to do whatever you feel for all of us, be it a prayer, be it a any type of transmission or anything that you feel comfortable with the drum, without the drum, whatever. I just want you to do whatever you want to do. Okay.
Okay. Right now I'm going to figure out how to turn this light on. Hold on. They took all the lighting.
Is this are we in your tent right now?
No, we're, let me show you. Okay, so I'm at a patio.
Oh, I see
Is
it. I
it kind
see
of
it.
dark? I'm on this covered
No, no, no.
porch.
We can see you still. It got darker, but we can still see you.
And that, I don't know if you can't really see that. Anyway.
That's cool.
Okay, so the birth of my soul.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I tell it correctly, and I tell it without crying. I'm just going to read to you what I wrote when I had the vision.
Yeah.
So I was sitting in my tent, my portal octagon, right? With this, so amazing. Now everybody's got one. It's like, and I remember for like a year, right? People are like, "Where'd you get that tent? Who made that tent? That tent's amazing." And it has a door. It has a D door. It opens. You can walk through, so you don't have to zip and scratch and cry. Okay, so this was September 29th. And it's funny because here we are in September again. You're talking about completions, but it's also new beginnings. And it has a lot to do with the equinox. I met him the day before the equinox in 2014.
Okay.
And this happened exactly 2 years, pretty much later. And we were off and on. I believe we were seeing each other again at this time. And I was in my tent, and I was actually watching an Abraham Hicks video on my phone, and I felt him. And, you know, as an empath, you can feel other people's feelings type of deal. And I felt him, like, you know, I was kind of aroused. I knew he was thinking of me. And I just laid back on my bed and the pillows, cushions. And I just felt, and I saw this blue light, like, enter me, you know, like from the root, enter me and come up to here. And so this is what I'm going to read to you.
Beautiful.
Okay. You read by the candlelight. I have a headlamp. Where's my headlamp?
Is that when you go spelunking?
No, that's just when I go living. Okay, our birth. First, I saw you with many different faces, yet the same, and many different attires. In each personality, you were smiling at me. I should get my glasses. I don't have those out here either. Okay. I'll move the candle here a little. In each one, you were smiling at me. Then through the circle, okay, so when I meditate, I'll see like a circle, and it's an imperfect circle, like it's a circle of trees.
Mm-hmm.
And so through the circle, in each personality, you were smiling at me. Then through the circle, I caught a glimpse of you, profile, 5 o'clock shadow in the shade of a grapevine, wearing a hat, and we were Italian. You smiled at me sideways while snapping a grape bunch free, and my heart exploded with love for you. I realized then that I've always loved you. Then I saw us as 2 triangles floating around each other and finally merging into a pyramid. I saw us doing that with our bodies. You know how you sit on each other's lap? If you sit on each other's lap and you kiss, your bodies with your knees are literally making a 4-pointed pyramid, right? Doing that with our bodies, sitting on your lap, legs wrapped around each other. Energies merged and we became 2 pyramids, but connected. I've drawn this symbol before. And this is a vision, another thing that I see, which I would see a teepee, and I would see another one come down, like another cylinder cone. And then it's turned into, you know, triangles. So I'll see a triangle and then another one inverted coming down.
Yeah.
And so our bodies, we were 2 pyramids and we turned like this. Okay. And we began to rotate, and then we were 3 triangles or 3 pyramids. And then more and more and more, each time changing sacred geometrical shape, tetrahedron, octahedron, whatever. I couldn't tell how many. I couldn't slow it down enough to count the triangles within the shape. It was then that the triangles withdrew from the center, from the cluster, and became lights. And they expanded into a 10-spoke wheel. I knew it was 10 because my tent has an octagon ceiling, and I opened my eyes and verified it was more wedges than the image before me. And so here I saw it was here when we went back to the one light source. So we were light and we broke out into a wheel. We came back into the center and then it was source. And it was just pure, like golden white light.
Yeah.
Like the light I saw when I first woke up.
Golden white light. Yeah.
Right? And it was just this, it was home. It was home. I don't know how to describe it, but if you ever just, you want to go home, it was home.
Yeah.
And I closed my eyes and I remembered that we agreed on this. Yeah. Energy's blue love light flowed back and forth on the spokes between us, you and me. We agreed. We loved all of us, each other. We came together as lights in the center in love, exploded down the 10 spokes, leaving trails of light like lovers torn apart, hands grasping by a giant wave. Our lights came back together, blue at least, coming together, coming apart, coming together, coming apart. Each one a face of yours I'd already seen. Yeah. And I loved you every time. Yeah. In you, I find my mirror, a perfect reflection of me as I am of you. So I do want to say, I didn't write it down, but when I saw, so I'm seeing us as like I'm one of the spokes and the light is going across through the center and across, and he's across from me. Yeah. And the other ones have lights going across like this. Ours was it was a blue flame. It was a blue flame. Okay. Yeah. Right. And every now and then it would go like this. It would go. Somebody's would go off. You know, so you're having a relationship with somebody else, but not necessarily your twin, but still kind of your twin. But do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So then my body then curled, legs open. So again, my body speaks. And I'm going to tell you really quick. When I first started meditating, I learned to turn your hands upward. People do this when they meditate on your knees. So that's consciousness, your consciousness, and God consciousness. So that's why you want to join that. That's why they do that. And I used to meditate like that, but then I learned if you turn your hands upward, you're more receptive. Yeah. And when I did that, this finger, my ring finger, would curl to my palm. And I opened it, and it would curl. And I opened it, and it would curl. Until I realized, what does this mean? And in my understanding, because Spirit and your guides always speak to you through your understanding, my understanding was that there's a vein. They say there's a vein that runs directly to your heart. And that's why we put a ring on there. And so to me, and I could feel it. I could feel that it was source, right? And so when I hear truth, my finger does this. When I speak truth, my finger does this. When there's something, maybe I'm meditating and I know there's somebody here, my finger will close to tell me it's safe, it's okay, I know who it is. Yeah. So that's why, like with the bath and Shasta, the towel dropped and my hands just started doing this. I'm again allowing my body to move. And so I had been laying down, right, seeing this all in my third eye, and so I felt birth. My hands grasped my knees, and I was like, huh, I literally felt birth, right? And it says, my body then curled, legs open, hands clasped behind my head. Okay. And I felt birth. I felt myself ripped away from all of you. The enormity of it was unreal, how big we were. Yet pieces of us blasted away in 10 different directions. It just occurred to me that a part of my consciousness stayed back, the part that watched. Yeah. I saw it from there. As I lost touch with the rest of us, of me, we all became clouds, blowing, foggy, fading and hard to discern, like when the light fades fast at twilight. I then saw the circle, the portal I was to go through. I knew I would forget. No, I love you, I miss you, I won't forget. But I knew I would, we all would. And the sense of longing set right in. Yeah. I knew I'd always be longing to come home, knew I'd always forget what I was longing for. I agreed. No! As I gasped and wailed and cried my first breath at the heartache, the loss, the forgetting. Mm-hmm. That's what the childbirth cry, that's what that is. It's being ripped away from home, from source.
Mm-hmm.
So I cried my first breath at the heartache, the loss, the forgetting. And when I came in, they were foggy in my memory already. And I wouldn't forget. Crying, crying. They were slipping away from me. And there was something new, something soft, something humming, vibrating, sparkly from somewhere back home. Cry, soft, home, new. Something new to distract me, shape me, teach me. No! The soft was fading away. No! Distraction. No! Fading and gone.
Mm.
And I loved you every time. The pull is to reconnect. The destination is home. You are me. I am you.
Very
So,
cool, man. We have a lot. We have a lot in common.
real quick, I also learned. So this was a couple weeks later. I learned the masculine and feminine coming together. What the heck does that say? Initiates wholeness and makes a trinitized energy form. That's why we became a triangle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy triad.
Yeah. And did you notice when I was reading, I noticed that my perception changed, my language changed. It was we and us, and then it was me and they. They were gone. They were fading. Yeah. I could no longer hold on to us. Super quick, I want to tell you one thing because this came to me in meditation. This is going to help all the twins out there. Home. It has to do with home. One night I was like probably watching videos and I heard Om, 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 Om. I just kept hearing it until I started in my mind saying Om, Om, Om with it. And then it turned into. And so if we practice this, and my hands came to my heart, if we practice this, if we say Om, 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 Home, then repeat. Om, 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 Home. And I was saying this and receiving as this was happening. The first thing I thought of was my twin because he's the first thing that brings me home. Mosquito. He's the only thing that feels like home. Yeah. That feels like source. And so I first thought of him, and then I thought of star families, home to the star families, and home to source, and a home to live in. And so that is, I think, a practice that if we try that, it might bring your twin a little bit closer to you. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Well, I've enjoyed it. 2 hours and 5 minutes. So we're going to do this again. We're going to do this again in 2 days.
The grasshoppers over here telling me. The grasshopper's like, come on.
Tell the grasshopper I can't.
Saturday.
I got nothing left, man.
Tired?
Yeah, a little bit. I've got a lot. It's a lot of work. So I still have, off camera. I've got and one of the things I'll do tonight immediately is I'm gonna download this into my database and then I'm gonna upload it to a Google Drive, and then I'll send you a copy of an editable link. And I see Jeff Cloud out there. Your show from last night's on the list, and the one before that's on the list too. So I put these on YouTube, but you'll have the editable link, so you can put it anywhere you want to.
Okay, great.
But I'm going to have some time. Let's reach out. You're 3 hours behind me, so maybe tomorrow we can talk, and if not, Saturday we can talk. And
so do you want me to? We'll say Saturday at 6, and do you want to? Publish that.
Oh yeah, I'll take care of that. Don't worry about it. I put that on my calendar while we were talking. So I have a system set up. So I'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and do some write up for it, and then I'll put it out same as I did before, and then you can share the link like you did before. So we'll see everybody in 48 hours, or 46 hours.
46 hours. That's
There
a
you go.
10.
Yeah, you're
That's a great number.
That's good. Good
Oh,
it's good
it was,
synergy.
yeah, it's
We
wonderful
haven't-
talking to you, Todd. I love it. Is
So,
Morgan on tonight or not tonight?
no, Morgan she's on one of those off social media things right now.
Oh, is she?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, she's been off 2-3 days. We all got to do that sometimes. I haven't had the luxury of doing that for a while, but I have done it. But I can't really do that. I've got to keep going. But I have canceled a couple of shows in the last 10 days because I just couldn't do it, man.
I know you canceled one of mine.
I know I couldn't. I was
All
just.
divine timing.
But I think.
Well, you have to take care of you, Todd. That's
Yeah,
one of
you
the most
have to.
important
You
things.
have
You
to.
have to take care of you.
Yeah, you
So
have to. And
when I was going through my divorce, the first everything, as soon as the kids went to
you
Dad's
have
house,
to.
I was like, what do I need right now? What do
Yeah.
I need right now? So
You
please
need
honor
you.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what happened to me. That's what happened to me 7 years ago. I had kids. I've got 6 kids.
I know, I've
two-
heard. That's
yeah.
incredible.
So
Are they
here I
all
am
with the
with
same mother?
no 2 different ones.
Okay.
So there was first time in 23 years I don't have any kids. I mean, I came out of jail. Everybody's gone. It's been 42 hours. Everything's gone. So for 6 weeks, I went up in my room and I drank beer, listened to Kid Cudi, and smoked weed, and communed. I thought, what the hell's going on? So, to your point, I decided after 6 weeks, you know what? I'm walking away from everything, and I'm going to take care of me. And that's kind of how the journey started. But yeah, we have a lot in common, and I enjoy talking to you. And and I appreciate everybody joining us tonight. And
thank you, everybody, for holding space.
Yeah. And come back in 46 hours, and we'll do it again. All right.
Okay, sounds great. All right, Todd. Many, many blessings. Many blessings
You
to
too.
everybody watching, contributing. Thank you.
Yeah. You take care.
All right, you too.
Be safe.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.